Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of the Gridiron Glory here with Will and Tad, your hosts. Today, we're going to talk about um, a divisional matchup between the Washington Commanders and the Detroit Lions, with the one seed in the NFC falling in spectacular fashion in their playoff debut. A very disappointing showing for Detroit. Especially unfortunate to see their defense look the way they looked with all the injuries they've had. Obviously a shell of their best team. Obviously guys like Aiden Hutchinson not there and a host of other Lions. So it's a real shame that they didn't get a real look with their top unit, but in the NFL, it's next man up, and that mantra it did not work at all for the Detroit Lions, falling 45-31 in a shootout. It was just a very interesting game to see the Washington Commanders assert themselves, go on the road, score 28 points in the second quarter to get a lead that they would not be giving up anytime soon. Um, Phenomenal game by rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels, making the conference championship in his first year in the NFL, 22 of 31, 299, two touchdowns, and also 51 yards rushing. Um, so after seeing this performance, I'd like to ask where you would rank this season by Jaden Daniels amongst all rookie quarterbacks.
Well, Tad, probably. You got from the statistical, you got from the statistical standpoint the stature of Jaden Daniels coming out here in his rookie season, far beyond exceeding our expectations. Tad, this was a Commanders team that we had only anticipated to really, honestly win like 6 or 7 games into the preseason. Here they are now getting this win on the road against the one seed, that being the Dan Campbell led Detroit Lions, which he also had a lot of interesting things to say after this game. And we'll get more into them here in a second. But still, nonetheless, we're talking about Jaden Daniels. Yes, I would rank him. Honestly, this has got to be one of the greatest rookie quarterback performances in NFL history.
Yeah, I think that's not hyperbole to say at this point. I mean, it's definitely up there. I mean, what we saw last year with CJ Stroud making the playoffs, winning a playoff game last year, that was all fine and cool. That was really special. But now Jaden Daniels is here taking it to the next level, winning a pair of playoff games, and now you're one win away from playing for the Super Bowl, which is not something anyone had on their radar at any point in the season. I mean, we thought what Washington was doing was really cool, but I don't think either of us would have expected them to go on the playoff run they're currently on, and here they are doing it now. I mean, and it's not just Jaden Daniels, their defense. I mean, sure, you give up the 31 points, but you also force four interceptions. You get a defensive touchdown from Quan Martin with that interception return in that second quarter. And Mr. Wicker, what was going through your mind when you saw that play unfold?
I'm looking at that play, Tad, and I'm like, wow, like Quan Martin. I was thinking in that moment, I really want to ask Tad Dorsey where he would rank Quan Martin amongst defensive players overall in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a standout play. I mean, that's the play that you make to make a legacy. And I mean, it's a play they'll remember for a long time for the Washington fans, for the second year player out of Illinois, second round draft pick. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see if he can continue to take the positive momentum. He's having a very solid second year, 87 tackles, three forced fumbles. So a player that's still establishing himself, and that was obviously the biggest play of his career.
It was the biggest play of his career. in the playoffs on the road. Tad, I mean, I said it last week. I mean, this was basically going to be a buzzsaw game for the Commanders. Tad, I got completely
Yeah.
proven wrong. But I did also say that it is the NFL and that anything can happen. And the Washington Commanders, they came out here, Tad, and they proved that with the right coaching, with the right players in the right place. I mean, Tad, coaching matters in this league, and yeah, Dan Quinn is truly proving that. And Tad, I would humbly, truly, and sincerely and genuinely love to ask you, where would you rank Dan Quinn amongst head coaches overall in the league?
I mean, based on his performance this season, it's hard not to put him in, well, at the very least, the top 10, probably the top five, based on what we've seen so far this season, this postseason. But I mean, he's establishing himself. I mean, you had a really successful season for Washington. Obviously, the big thing is you got the draft pick right. You got to get your franchise quarterback, and early on, the reports are very good for Jaden Daniels. I mean, regardless of what happens in Philadelphia, it's an outstanding rookie season, and he's established himself as arguably one of the top quarterbacks in the league, definitely in the NFC. I mean, they've established Washington as a legitimate contender in the NFC, which is not something anybody saw coming.
It's not anybody that anybody saw coming, and I would certainly like to sit here and say you just my biggest fear for Jaden Daniels is I just hope that he's not a supernova, if you will. Burn bright, die young. I just really hope that's not, and we've seen players like that. We've seen quote unquote supernovas in the league. Tim Tebow, RG3, Andrew Luck. Um, I'm starting to wonder if Tua Tagovailoa is going to be in the supernova category. But yeah, if you will, you just hope that Jaden Daniels doesn't turn into a supernova.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it. I mean, if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be on a very good path. I mean, yeah, he's obviously some of those other players you mentioned. I mean, they've had the health issues and all that, but I think if he stays healthy, I wouldn't be too worried about
I guess what
the
scares
future
me
there.
is like Jaden Daniels is great, but it scares me that he's like this good this early. You know what I mean? Like you're not supposed to be this good this early, and like it's amazing to see, but it's just like, boy, you just really hope. I don't know. It's
I'll
like
say
it's almost
I'd be
like it's almost like he's setting a bar for himself that's like, okay, you make a conference championship in your rookie season, right? Okay, so like what happens if like for several seasons he doesn't get back here? Then they're gonna be I don't know, man. I just hope that he didn't set a too high
Yeah,
of a bar for himself
I
too early.
hear what you're saying. Like, I get what you're saying, but I mean, just seeing what Jaden Daniels has done and what he can do, the talent is clearly there. I'd be more worried if I was the other teams going against him than if I was um looking at Jaden Daniels. I mean, certainly the expectations are high. They've definitely raised the bar, and there's definitely truth to what you're saying. I mean, they'll no longer be the team that's going to sneak up on you. Now they're going to get um every team's number one shot in the coming seasons, and I mean, I think that could even start with this game against Philadelphia. They'll be going in playing a divisional rival. They played Philly tough all year in the two games they played, so it certainly won't be a walk in the park for the Commanders.
It won't be a walk in the park at all for the Washington Commanders. And this is a franchise, that's overcome a lot and has come a long way. Even like 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago.
Hmm.
So their fans have been through a lot. Their fans, like Tad, the fans of Washington, the sun is shining down on them once again as they are in the
So
NFC
certainly,
Championship game.
certainly. Real quick, what are some keys that you'd have for the Commanders to compete with the Eagles up in Philadelphia?
obviously, Tad, you have the advantage of the fact that that's your divisional rival. So you have that going for you in the sense of you got 2 games of film on them just this season alone. So if I'm the Washington Commanders, I am hitting the film room extra hard this week. Um,
Yeah.
we were mentioning Dan Quinn and everything. That's going to play a major part into that. How well can Dan Quinn develop a game plan to go up there on in the? I mean, the Commanders have now proven. Okay, so you knock off the top dog, the Detroit Lions. Okay, you have now proven to yourselves and the rest of the league that you can go on the road and beat teams like that. So now can they just execute and develop a good game plan against their divisional rivals? And I think it's
Yeah.
going to be a good game.
It certainly is shaping up to be a good game. So yeah, I certainly echo those takes, and I think that you'll need another all-time classic game out of Jaden Daniels to pull that one off. I think that's the key. So gonna be a big story there in Philadelphia. Should be a great game. Um,
Um, I mean, to be honest with you, Tad, just the Lions defense, like you said, just Lions defense was banged up. You were missing your best player, Aiden Hutchinson, lots of other key pieces. You hope they can get back. And not only that, but we're talking about the Lions. I believe it was their offensive coordinator took a head coaching job.
and their defensive coordinator as well. They lost
Both
both
their coordinators
coordinators.
took head coaching
You
jobs.
lose
So
Aaron Glenn to the Jets. You lose Ben Johnson to your division rival, the Chicago Bears. So a lot of people leaving the Detroit coaching staff.
So, Tad, I don't know if this Detroit team, I mean, obviously, when we analyze them next preseason, we'll have a lot more answers or questions answered there. But ultimately, just Tad, this was like, I'd hate to say it, but this was like a Super Bowl or bust type season. So I'd really hate to say it, but
Yeah,
this was a bust for the Lions.
100%. I mean, you get the number one seed. You get you don't know how many chances you're gonna get to have a season like that at Detroit. That's a huge opportunity, and it slipped. I mean, windows are very small in the NFL unless you have your elite franchise quarterback. That's really what it comes down to. And I mean, the window for Detroit, we don't know how long it's going to be for sure. And this was a prime opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And I mean, the defense, they did what they did. They were out. The offense turned the ball over 5 times. That obviously that can't happen if you want to win. You had to play a much more efficient offensive game in Detroit. They certainly didn't do that. I mean, Jared Goff had 313 passing yards, but he also had 4 turnovers with the 3 interceptions and the fumble. And then you have that trick play where Jamison Williams throws the
Yeah,
interception
I didn't
as
get that
well.
whole like trick play thing. Yeah, I'm so glad you actually reminded me and brought that up, Dad. I'm thinking in that scenario, okay, you got the game on the line and you're gonna put it in the hands of James. Like, no disrespect to Jamison Williams, but why are you doing that in a playoff
Yeah,
game in that
a lot of
situation?
questions there for sure. I mean, obviously, if it works out, you're a genius, but
Right.
it doesn't work out. And just an unfortunate way for Detroit to end their season. Jameer Gibbs
Dad,
had a great game, but I mean overall, just a lot of disappointment for
Though,
Detroit.
though, Tad, I really do want to humbly and sincerely look over the quarterback stat line for Detroit, and
Yeah,
yeah, we're looking at Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater, 1 completion for with 1 attempt. You're looking at Teddy Bridgewater, the seasoned veteran out of Louisville, former first round pick, 32nd overall, drafted to the Vikings. And I would like to humbly, personally, and sincerely ask you, yes, Tad, where would you rank Teddy Two Gloves, who's now back in the league amongst, yeah, backup quarterbacks?
yeah, absolutely. A crazy story with Teddy Bridgewater coming back. He wins the championship as a high school coach, and then he says, "Hey, I want to give it another run." Just be a backup quarterback. And I think it was always going to be Detroit where he would go, where he was familiar with. So yeah, he comes out and he honestly he leads a touchdown drive after Goff got hurt on his interception that he threw. I mean, it was ended up being Jamison Williams who had the 61-yard touchdown run on another trick play, but yeah, I mean, it's great to see Teddy out there doing what he does. Obviously, didn't have the career he'd hoped for with his severe injuries and all that, but he's just shows that he can be a respectable quarterback in the league even today.
A serviceable enough backup.
Certainly.
Yeah, so I didn't really have any other final thoughts or takes on Commanders lines.
Yeah, it's just going to be really interesting to see what Detroit does to fill out their coaching staff, and rebuild for next year. That's about all I had. Yeah,
And then,
go on.
did you want to tell the followers anything?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you all for watching the episode. Please continue to like, subscribe, and follow our content. We'll have exceptional content throughout divisional week and then into conference championship week next week. Thanks for watching.